Everyone, welcome back to the channel. So episode 7's preview has been released, so let's give it a watch and break it down.
Where are we?
The fortress city of Faldara.
I don't want you to die, but whichever of you goes to the Eye of the World and is not the dragon, you will die there.
I can't lose anyone else.
I'm here with a warning. What is she up to?
Do you know what I am?
No, no one does. What's gotten into you? There's an inherent darkness within him.
Faldara always will be able to protect its own.
You'll hear their screams as they die.
That looks wild. Wowee. Okay, there's a lot to break down in this. So, to begin with, at the beginning, we can see quite clearly the other end of the Waygate when they come out of it is very much outside the city of Faldara, or the fortress of Faldara. I kind of maybe guessed there might be a kind of intermission in between getting from the Ways to Faldara. Maybe I thought they might stop off somewhere else, but it's quite clearly that we're going to land straight outside of Faldara. Now that's really cool to see. I think that obviously states quite a few things. One, I think it really gives us a lot more time in the Ways to kind of spend a bit more time, introduce some of the aspects that happen within the Ways that we all know and love from the books, because obviously if you were, say, in 3 separate places in the episode, you have to split a bit more time up there. So that's really cool to see. So I think we could quite possibly see maybe 5 to 10 minutes, hopefully, kind of like how we did with Shadar Logoth, where we spend a considerable amount of time in the Ways. At least that's what I hope. That's what I really hope, you know, comes from this. I think it's another sort of important element of the story and how and what the Ways bring to the rest of the, you know, story going forward, that I think we need to spend a bit of time in there, explain to the casual viewers and newcomers to the show and series and to the books what the Ways are, how it works, and what the kind of implications for the Ways would be moving forward. So that's really cool to see. And then straight away after that, we literally go into a real interesting passage where Moiraine basically says to the whole group, she's obviously, after, you know, meeting Lord Agelmar and the rest of the people in Faldara, she obviously is taking them aside to kind of a room, like maybe some sort of chamber, just to gather them all in there and just say, only myself, most likely Lan, of course, and whoever the dragon is in this show will be venturing out into the Great Blight, and she doesn't want to bring anybody else with her or with them, because she fears the worst, that they will die if they go along with her, Lan and the dragon, which is really interesting. And I think this is kind of the end game, if you want to call it that, when it comes to who could be the dragon out of the 5. I think it's quite clearly we're going to get the reveal of whoever the Dragon Reborn is, and hopefully it's 100% certain it's going to be who we all know it is. So that's going to get revealed, and then I think right at the end of the episode is when we will get to like the border or the edge of the Great Blight, and then that's where we'll pick up in the 8th and final episode. So as you can see, obviously now, unless Nynaeve is kind of away from this shot, it looks like it's only Perrin, Egwene and Rand, where she's speaking to them about who of the 3 of them now is the dragon. So it looks like she's kind of decided Nynaeve isn't the Dragon Reborn here, so that's kind of 1 out of the 4/5 who aren't. But of course, with Barney Harris's exit and Matt's exit out of season 1, that's another one like ticked off the list, because, you know, if you were the dragon, you wouldn't not go along with them and with the group. So that's obviously for us, and for her in her mind's eye and her peace of mind, that's kind of gotten out of the way as well now. And then we've got a really cool shot of the Ways and what is kind of the Ways look like. It's a real interesting look, because when I've read the, you know, the books and the passages when we're in the Ways, I don't necessarily ever kind of picture in my mind's eye. And maybe this is different for some of you who are watching this video, and maybe you could leave a comment to see, so I could see, I mean, whether you had this kind of picture in your mind of what the ways look like, at least along the passages. Yes, they've got the atmosphere right, and obviously it being pitch black, and the torches literally just light a few steps in front of them. But I never expected these sort of what looks to be columns all along kind of the floor that they're walking along. I always thought it was a very smooth floor, obviously, but there was nothing else on that floor. Maybe I've never read it properly and I missed that thing, but just seeing these kind of stone columns, all of different sizes and proportions, kind of dotted out along the route and the kind of floor that they're traveling on, is quite a different look that I was expecting. And then we see, oh, and you can quite see, oh wow, you can now 100% see the baby bump on the Aiel here, and who is fighting not one, not two, but 3 Illian companions here. And so it looks like she's going to take at least 2 out of the 3 down to begin with, and then we'll get kind of the be-all end-all of that kind of sequence that we all know and love from the books, and what that reveals. So I think we're going to get quite a lot of this back and forth between present day and the past, and it's kind of going to intertwine together to kind of help reveal who the dragon is. And I think that will be a nice way of kind of ending that chapter in this story of who the dragon is, and then we can move forward. But it's really cool. I think we're going to see quite a lot in this scene. I don't think it's going to be a very short, fleeting scene here. And what I love as well is how we can see the very differing styles between an Aiel and the companions that she's fighting here. And then Moiraine interestingly says, "I'm here with a warning." We don't know who she's speaking to, but then we get a shot of Lord Agelmar right after she starts speaking. And then I believe there's kind of a bit of misplays going on here. I think Nynaeve is, when she says, "What is she up to?" I'm sure she's talking about Min in this moment. And then of course we get our first look at Min at last, and I think that's really cool to see. I think everybody's been waiting to see what kind of her look will be for the show, which you've now got. But it's really interesting. They're not giving anything away. They're not giving any sort of glimpse into her kind of, if you want to call them, powers, or her visions that she gets when she looks over people. I'm really intrigued and interested, obviously, to see just how exactly they're going to bring this to life on the show. Whether we're going to get kind of her looking out at people and she will see like this kind of vision right above their heads, or whether she will look into the people and then it will kind of be a kind of transition when she looks at people and she views these things with each of them, and then it will kind of transition out into something else, or whether it's just going to be a sort of, you know, spoken side of things, whether we're not going to see any of the kind of visual aspects of her viewings, and she's only going to say, kind of explain them with her mouth, you know, by her talking. I think that's a possible route they could go with it. And then the thing here with Perrin, whoa, this is real interesting. I don't know what to make of this moment with Perrin here. Because obviously, if you look at his eyes here, he very much, you would say, is in a sort of state of being one with the wolf and being a wolf brother. But then he kind of, in a sense, morphs out of his body, and now you would just naturally kind of presume that might be something to do with the Dream World, Tel Aran-Rhiod. But it's a bit early for that. I don't think there's much mention of the name of the World of Dreams in the first book, and there certainly hasn't been any of that sort of mention in the first season of the show. I, for 1 minute in episode 6, thought that might be what was going on when Siuan and Moiraine kind of met each other, you know, in their kind of moment alone. But yeah, so it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with Perrin here. And then we can just see some general shots that we got through set leaks with the photos of Rand, you know, using the bow and arrow. So that's kind of nothing new there. Whoa. And then there's just like these really cool, interesting shots, one after the other. And then we get what I presume to be obviously confirmation of, one, Mat's not there with them. 2, Moiraine is no longer in this shot, because you've got Rand on the right, you got Egwene, you got Lan right at the front, you got Perrin and Nynaeve to the left, and then you got Loial at the rear of this group. And obviously they're still in the ways, but it looks to be like there's this kind of swarm heading towards them, and it's quite a different, I would say, visual interpretation of the black mist quite possibly happening here. But what is so cool and interesting within that shot is we can kind of hear what I believe to be the voices we all, you know, read on the page when we are in the ways and we get the black mist coming with them. And we can hear the voices of them kind of going, eat the souls and that sort of thing. I think this is a audio representation of that. And it sounds really cool. Because they're like talking to them, you will hear their screams as they die. And then we've got Lan screaming right at the end as if something awful has happened. Oh God, I don't know what that could be. But it's definitely still in the ways. So something, of course, has gone on in the ways for Lan to have that sort of reaction. But yeah, it's real interesting, really cool, and I cannot wait to see this episode. I think it's going to be one of the kind of highlights. This and episode 8, I think, are going to be really, really kind of the best episodes we've got to date. I could be wrong, but I feel, of course, with what's going to naturally occur in these episodes, they cannot not be the best episodes that we've gotten thus far in the series. And I hope it has a huge positive effect on the build-up for season 2, and there's a few cliffhangers left there for us all to kind of dwell on and kind of theorize as we wait to find out exactly when we'll start to be able to watch season 2, which I, at the time being, would presume is just going to be around this time next year. So yeah, it's going to be a real interesting couple of weeks left now of when we get these new couple of episodes. I cannot wait to see what they've done with these 2 episodes, and there's a lot to be discussed and broken down with as well. So yeah, I'm going to end the video here, everyone. Hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like on the video, and of course, if you have any kind of comments on what was shown in this kind of preview of episode 7, please leave it in the comment section down below. Right, everyone, I will catch you all later tonight with the episode 7 stills, hopefully, if we do still get them. Alright, catch you all later.